Good morning. Welcome to the worship service of the First Unitarian Church of Hobart, where we strive to put love at the center of how we show up in the world. So each week during our Sunday morning worship, we join in reciting together the words of our affirmation of faith. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament. Service is its prayer. And this is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Since not everyone can attend in person, we are streaming this service online, and we extend a special welcome to all that are joining us virtually. The joys and sorrows portion, however, is private. We will temporarily pause at that time. Other than that, the worship service is being recorded and will be available for future viewing on our website. This morning, our minister, Pastor Tom, will be leading the worship service. Please turn off or silence your devices, and as you do so, allow yourself to enter sacred time together. Take a deep breath. And another. And join us in a spirit of reverence. This morning, may we honor our work, celebrate the light we reflect to each other, and bring hope and determination to our mission in the wider world. The flaming chalice is a symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It suggests the transformation that takes place when we are held within religious community. When we light the chalice in worship, we illuminate a world that we feel called upon to serve with love and a sense of justice. Now please join me in the lighting of our chalice by reading together the words on the screen or in your order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith,
Unitarian Universalism is a covenantal faith. We do not have a creed. Instead, we commit to walk together in the spirit of mutual love, abiding by the promises to which this congregation has democratically agreed in creating and revising our congregational covenant. And so each week we reaffirm together a portion of that congregational covenant. So I will read off a few lines and I would invite you to respond together with what's on the screen there. For all the ways that we have not dwelled together in peace, may we forgive ourselves and each other and begin again in love. For all the ways that we have not sought truth in love, may we forgive ourselves and each other and begin again in love. For all the ways that we have not helped one another, may we forgive ourselves and each other and begin again in love. So having re-covenanted, I invite you to turn, look at these beautiful folks that you're sharing this space with, wave your hands, maybe smile at them if you feel so moved, greet them, welcome them into togetherness. I invite you now to rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn 1018, Come and Go With Me. Rise in body or spirit. our gatherings in space, in time, since we saw you last week or last month or last year or whenever we last saw you. There's been stuff that's been going on in the world at large, within your own life. There's been a whole bunch of things to inspire us, to bring us up, to light us up, and also to weigh us down, to be heavy. And so I will come around the room with the microphone, and if you have a joy or a sorrow that you'd like to share with us, I'd invite you to share your name with us so that we know who you are, and we'll have your joy or sorrow be heard. Is there a joy or sorrow? Yes.
Hi, I'm Joan, and this is Al. And we celebrated our
So we'll be talking a little bit about gratitude and goodbye and so on this morning. And So I wanted to just extend an invitation to do a little bit of contemplation around experiences that you've had of goodbyes. Certainly all of us, I would imagine, have had some experiences of goodbyes that we felt like didn't go quite so well, that we might have wished had gone differently, and maybe some experiences of goodbyes that did go really well and went really beautifully and that we really get to cherish. And so for you, just think to yourself about sometimes maybe one particular instance of a goodbye that went really well, that went like, you know what, that's may not have been absolutely perfect, but it was a really great note to end on. And if there's not one that comes up for you, then just in hindsight, how do you wish you had said goodbye if there's a particular instance that stinks out? And so Jeremy will play some music for a few moments just for you to contemplate to yourself silently. And then once he wraps up with that, then we'll get into a little bit of conversation with each other. You just turn to one person sitting near you, maybe two at the absolute most, and just share with each other a little bit. You don't have to tell the whole story, but just what's an experience you've had of saying goodbye well that you're particularly proud of. You'll have 2 minutes between the both of you, so just very brief.
Hello, hello. Okay, now the mic is on. Great. Wonderful. It's okay. Thank you so much for sharing amongst yourselves, offering your experiences, however detail you felt moved to offer to speak into the space. And we'll just close up this section of the service just by inviting a couple of reflections. What did you notice yourself saying or somebody else saying that stuck out to you? Some piece of a lesson of, oh, that might be a really wonderful way to say goodbye. Or here's a nugget of wisdom from that experience that I either or said or heard. Does anybody have one of those they'd like to share?
This took place in Williamsport, Indiana, and that's where I lived all my life. It was Friday the 13th of 2003, and the big truck was parked in front of our house. The truck was full of all of our furniture and everything. And there is some humor in this because our neighbor across the street, Jack Baker, walked across the street and said to Brian, "You moving today?" And there sat the great big truck, but knowing Jack the way I did, yes, I would expect that out of him. That's all.
Thank you.
So Ruth and I have always talked how sometimes there's such synchrony between what we talk downstairs and what we talk up here. And so I was getting ready to do Spirit Circle, and I thought, it's Tom's last day. The topic downstairs has to be about saying goodbye. And so did a fair amount of reading, and I thought, I've been too casual about my goodbyes. And so the sense of saying goodbye is knowing tomorrow, and knowing, as this fine gentleman said, we carry you, but the other way around too. And so that sense of telling each of you, think of what you take with that part of our union with Tom for 3 years. And that's for yourself. Tom will just have to know he got it.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig. One more.
About, 40 years ago, maybe, I was in a different church, and I was new to that experience, and I didn't know that pastors left. And I said to her, "I'm sorry for you leaving, but I'm very happy for the people you'll meet." And that's how I feel about you.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you, everybody, for sharing with each other, for offering up your experiences, for reflecting on your own journey through life of saying goodbye to folks. And we'll have a story now that Sandy will share.
The story is Homer's Wings by Caitlin Cotter Coilberg. So glad I brought this up. I don't know that it happened quite this way, but I do know that it's true that long ago and far away, or more likely, recently and quite nearby, high up in the mountains on a black cherry tree, an egg was laid on a leaf. And in the light of the full moon, out of that egg hatched a little brownish caterpillar with white markings that would look to any bird who might chance by, perhaps like bird droppings. The caterpillar's name was Homer. Homer looked around in surprise and wonder to find himself alive in the world. "Better eat your egg casing, little friend," said a black and spiky caterpillar nearby. Homer did just that, and then turned to look at his new friend. "Welcome to the world," said the other caterpillar, whose name was Alex. "It's delicious. Here, try some of this leaf." Together, the two caterpillars munched on leaves that spring, through rain and sun, sunrises and sunsets. They laughed together at the antics of baby birds and hid together under leaves that the black spiky caterpillar had collected so that parent birds could not catch them. Alex taught Homer all he needed to know about life on a leaf, how to stay safe, how to munch, how to enjoy the feeling of the wind stirring the tree and the sun slowly warming the mountains each morning. Together they gazed each night up at the beautiful moon. But one day, the black spiky caterpillar started something totally new and different. "What are you doing?" asked Homer, as Alex carefully put down silk on the underside of a twig in the newest collection of leaves and began hanging upside down. "Making a chrysalis," said Alex. A what?" "Well, you'll see." And over the next couple of days, in the shelter of the leaves, the spiky black caterpillar shifted and shed its skin and became a strange, lumpy brown thing, hanging there, not making any conversation. What could this mean? For a week, Homer munched quietly by himself, watching the strange brown hanging thing that used to be his friend, wondering and worrying as the strange lumpy brown thing shifted in color and size and pattern. Then one day, out of the strange lumpy brown chrysalis, pushed an even stranger new creature. Homer watched as this new creature pumped blood into its black and white and bright orange wings. Wings? And unfurled a strange new mouth. "What?" cried Homer. "Who?" The new creature turned to look at him. "Oh, little friend," it said, "it's still me, Alex, the one you laughed and hid and munched leaves and watched the moon with. But now I'm a butterfly, an admiral butterfly, to be specific," Alex said proudly. "But you changed," cried Homer. "You were as constant as the moon, and now you have changed." Alex smiled gently. "Oh, friend," they said, "we're supposed to change. Why, even the moon is different night to night. Sometimes we see all of it, sometimes only a sliver, and sometimes we can't see it at all." But I don't want to change," lamented Homer, scared and sad. "Change is part of who we are," said the butterfly who was Alex. "And now our friendship must change too. I must fly away in search of flowers and other butterflies, and eventually I will fly south to stay warm in the winter. You must continue to eat and grow and stay safe from the birds. But you will change too. Just remember, you are loved, and whatever your body does, you are a beautiful friend, and I'm glad I know you." And with that, Alex took to the sky. All that summer, Homer, the little brown caterpillar, ate and grew and hid and watched the moon, which did indeed look a little bit different every night. Homer became a bigger brown caterpillar. His white splotch turned into two little eye shapes, so he looked like a fearsome little snake, and no birds ate him. Day by day, the seasons moved towards autumn. Finally, Homer found his own safe spot to hang upside down and shifted into a chrysalis. This was scary, but Homer remembered his friend and was brave. All winter, the chrysalis hung there, safe and still. In the spring, Homer felt himself stir, felt his new body shift once again, and wiggled free to find himself with a new mouth and different shape and wings. Wings that were yellow and black and blue and orange and glorious. "Oh my," said Homer, the Appalachian tiger swallowtail, gazing at himself in wonder and delight. And then he took off into the sky, up towards the bright moon, bold as a bird, up the broad sweep of Spruce Knob. That's the story of Homer. And now a reading, a prayer for unfinished business. Dear great lathe of heaven, O foundry of souls, you churning, burning cosmos which has wrought me on the infinite loom of your celestial body, spinning stars and indifferent stones, hear my prayer. Do not curse me to perish with all my dreams fulfilled. Do not afflict me with a vision so narrow and a heart so small that all my greatest hopes could be accomplished within a single lifetime. Rather, bless me with an unquiet spirit, anoint me with impertinent oils. Grant me dreams so great and mysterious that I may spend the fullness of my days to realize them and have ample remaining to leave to my inheritors. Holy Gyre that bore me and must one day take me home, allow me the mercy to depart this life with unfinished business. Now please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 1007, There's a River Flowing in My Soul.
Please be seated. So a couple of weeks ago, we had a worship service for the summer solstice that talked about failure, about hardness, particularly because I think the winter solstice is often a time to lift up the coming light. And often we skip past any anticipation of the things that might be a little harder. So I wanted to make some time for that a couple weeks ago. And it also felt like a bit of a compliment to the sweetness of the goodbyes today. Since this is my last Sunday here, we'll be talking a little bit about goodbyes and farewells and so on. There was last worship service, when I was wrestling with what story to share from my own life. I try to incorporate at least one of those into any of the worship services. There were a couple that I was wrestling between, and the one that I didn't use that feels like kind of ties into both 2 weeks ago and also today was my experience of trying to digitize my music collection. So I had worked at a record store for several years, and one of the benefits of working retail is you get a huge discount on everything that they sell wherever you're working for retail. And it was a record store, and so I got a pretty good discount on CDs and records and tapes and so on. But the used CDs, I didn't just get the standard 30% off, I got 50% off on the used CDs. So at most, I was spending $4 on an album. And so I used that, and I bought a whole bunch of music, and I carted this music around as I moved back and forth from West Coast to East Coast and back. And so I got up to, I think it was something around 700 CDs or something like that. And at one point I was like, you know what, this is ridiculous for me to be carting these back and forth between the coasts. I should just digitize all this, have it all on a hard drive, and be done with it. And so I went through the process of doing that, of one by one, taking each CD and putting it in my CD-ROM, and having the computer extract all the information and put it in. But one of the things, this is a little bit easier now, but one of the tricky things is how do you keep track of what's what? Some stuff your computer can say, oh, well, it looks like it's this album, it'll name it for you. But a lot of them, it doesn't know what they are. And so you have to type in each song title and each album name into the field. So between those 700 CDs, there was about 10,000 songs or so that I was sort of gradually working my way through. And you know how often when you're working on a machine and you try something and your computer says, are you sure you want to do that? And you say, yeah, I clicked that so many times, of course I want to do that. Well, I happened to click yeah. But when I accidentally had renamed every song in my library, including the 9,000 I had already recorded in there, as Gil Scott-Heron's Who'll Pay Reparations on My Soul. And so I saw as the row after row after row got changed, and I said, you know what, I think I'm done for the day. I'm going to step away from this whole exercise. And as frustrating as that was, it was also an opening for shared humanity. Just now, the recognition that we all have of like, oh, I can't believe I did that. Like when you lead a ritual designed around tasting the bitterness of parsley, and then you find out that people are actually tasting the soapiness of cilantro. And the treasurer comes up to you after the worship service to let you know, and you alternatingly grimace to yourself and laugh at yourself for the next couple of weeks. And the steps that it takes to digitize a music collection can be mind-numbing and robotic and not at all conducive to being present or mindful. But even the roboticness of digitizing a music collection can offer openings to our shared humanity with others. Because when I came down into the kitchen of the shared apartment with my roommates, and I told one of them what had happened, that was the intro for her for the next 2 years to say, hey, Tom, we'll pay reparations on your soul. And even to this day, sometimes she'll send me a message along those lines, bringing back the memories of us living together, of us being seen for the perfectly imperfect humans that we are, not as an excuse for whatever behavior happens along the way, but as the shared reality from which we all come. The poet David White has written that gratitude is not a passive response to something that we've been given. Gratitude arises from paying attention, from being awake in the presence of everything that lives within and without us. Thankfulness finds its full measure in generosity of presence. So although we're coming to the end point of our shared ministry together, and conventionally speaking, now is the time to say thank you and goodbye, I have certainly felt the gratitude of this congregation all along the way, in the generosity of your presence, and I hope that you have also felt my gratitude all along the way, in the generosity of my presence. In the context of organized religion, there are two fundamentally contradictory impulses: the impulse to change and the impulse to stay the same. As UU governance consultant Dan Hotchkiss has pointed out, religion changes people. No one touches holy ground and stays the same. Religious leaders stir the pot by pointing to the contrast between life as it is and life as it should be, and urging us to close the gap. Religious insights provide the handhold that people need to criticize injustice, to rise above self-interest, to take risks, to achieve healing a wounded world. Religion at its best is no friend to the status quo. Organization, on the other hand, conserves. Institutions capture and schematize and codify persistent patterns of activity. People sometimes say institutions are conservative, but conservation is what institutions do. A well-ordered congregation lays down schedules, it puts policies on paper, it places people in positions, and generally brings order out of chaos. Organizations can be flexible and creative, iconoclastic, but only by resisting some of their most basic intrinsic instincts. So no wonder organized religion is so difficult. Congregations create sanctuaries where people can nurture and inspire each other with results that no one can predict. The stability of a religious institution is a necessary precondition to the instability that religious transformation brings. They need to balance both sides of this paradox, the transforming power of religion and the stabilizing power of organization makes leading congregations a unique challenge. If we don't bring concerted attention to both impulses, to work to weave them together productively, we can easily get caught, and unlike the butterfly, never emerge from the chrysalis. When receiving the Nobel Prize, Toni Morrison started off her lecture by telling an old story that I think complements the one that Sandy told earlier about the caterpillar and the butterfly. The story you heard Sandy tell was a mythical metaphor using the chrysalis transition between caterpillar and butterfly to talk about dramatic change. And I think it's powerful both because it's a dramatic change and also because butterflies are beautifully attractive creatures. But there's also a certainty to it, a foregone conclusion. It's a process that we understand to some extent, that caterpillars turn into butterflies. But for we lowly humans, there are few foregone conclusions. Classically, the only ones that we can be sure of are, of course, death and taxes. And we humans encounter big moments of possible change in our lives, not by making a chrysalis, with a clear container that allows our entire bodies to completely liquefy and reform in a new shape, or at least that's not how I do it. Maybe some of you do it that way. Usually for us, there's some degree of confusion, some degree of uncertainty of, gosh, what do I do now? And so in a way, I think that the story Toni Morrison told when receiving the Nobel speaks to what it's like for us humans to be in our own version of the chrysalis. She said, once upon a time, there was an old woman, blind but wise. Or was it an old man? A guru, perhaps? Or a griot soothing restless children? I have heard this story, one exactly like it, in the lore of several cultures. Once upon a time, there was an old woman, blind, wise. In the version I know, the woman is the daughter of slaves, black, American, and lives alone in a small house outside of town. Her reputation for wisdom is without peer and without question. Among her people, she is both the law and its transgression. The honor she is paid and the awe in which she is held reach beyond her neighborhood to places far away, to the city where the intelligence of rural prophets is the source of much amusement. And one day, the woman is visited by some young people who seem to be bent on disproving her clairvoyance and showing her up for the fraud that they believe she is. Their plan is simple. They enter her house and ask the one question, the answer to which rides solely on her difference from them, a difference they regard as a profound disability, her blindness. They stand before her, and one of them says, "Old woman, I hold in my hand a bird. Tell me whether it is living or dead." She does not answer, and the question is repeated, "Is the bird I am holding living or dead?" Still she doesn't answer. She is blind and cannot see her visitors, let alone what is in their hands. She does not know their color, gender, homeland. She only knows their motive. The old woman's silence is so long, the young people have trouble holding their laughter. And finally, she speaks, and her voice is soft but stern. "I don't know," she says. I don't know whether the bird you are holding is dead or alive. But what I do know is that it is in your hands. It is in your hands. Our moments of choice, of decision, of discernment can be tremendously uncomfortable. And as a house of faith such as this one, we can choose to avoid them, to retreat into the more comfortable, the less troubling shores of the nonprofit organization that maintains the status quo, or to meet their troubling provocations head on, stepping boldly, and maybe sometimes too boldly, into the unknown together. Sometimes congregations will bring on a professional minister to help them avoid those moments of choice, decision, and discernment, to help them continue to do what they have done, only better, more professionally. But at its best, hiring a professional minister can help a congregation to meet those troubling provocations head on. In most cases, it's a bit of both. There's some ambivalence, just like in all of us individuals. In my time here, I've tried to work with both impulses, attending to both the intrinsically conservative nature of the institution and the intrinsically radical nature of the religion. But in my opinion, one hallmark of good ministry is that it's not one-dimensional. We ministers are just as prone as anyone else to getting caught up in our own bad habits. And although at our best, we're also able to recognize when that happens and to course correct, I'm particularly grateful to this congregation for walking with me these past 3 years, in which we got to share our imperfections with each other, got to discern our next steps, and to make the most of the coincidence that our being alive at the same time on the same planet was given us. And saying goodbye to our shared ministry together, we're of course not saying goodbye to the congregational journey, which will continue, or my own ministerial journey, which will continue. Just saying goodbye to the blending of the two, of sharing the laughter and the tears along the way. So to whatever extent I have been able to offer the generosity of my own presence, and to invite your own generosity of presence to come more fully into existence, I hope that you will continue to lean into being generously present to all the moments in the future. My invitation to you over this next period of time, entering into this new and different chrysalis moment, stepping into a future of ever unfinished business, is to bless each moment that you encounter with such generosity of presence that it opens up to you and invites you in, welcoming your discernment of the path forward together. And so, in that spirit, I will invite you into a ritual of release, where I will read some lines and invite you to respond with the words on the screen. That's your part that's coming up in a moment. For 3 years, you have offered me your free pulpit and the freedom of creativity and worship, gifts for which I'm grateful. I hereby return the ministry of worship to your able hands. Use it to speak the truth in love to one another and to continue to find reverence and meaning together. For 3 years, you have opened up to me about the struggles with which you've endured in silence, both as individuals and as a congregation. It's been my privilege to welcome your unfolding and flourishing in the face of what life has to offer. I now return the ministry of pastoral care to your hands. Use it to welcome the fullness of one another and of yourself. From before my arrival here, this congregation has been a voice of inclusion and justice in Northwest Indiana, and I have hoped to support this ongoing work by fanning the impulse to build a better world. I return the prophetic ministry to your hands. Use it to share the life-saving power of Unitarian Universalism beyond these walls into a hurting human family. Since my arrival, you've asked me to serve as administrator and professional leader of this congregation, and today I return the administry of this congregation to you. May you guide yourselves with courage and wisdom into a strong and sure future. The light of our shared ministry will be extinguished today, but our respective ministries will continue separately. Our separate fires will bring light to the world in new and unique ways. So I'm going to light 2 candles from the chalice. One of these candles Okay, one of these candles is going to symbolize your ministry as a congregation, and the other will represent the ministry that I take with me. With love and gratitude, I release you from our shared ministry with one another. Go your way in peace, truth, and love. Blessed be.
We choose to welcome the spirit of life in this congregation by joining in aliveness with one another and by sharing our humble resources. This month we are sharing our Loose Change for Social Change offering with the Sojourner Truth House, an organization in Gary that provides housing services as well as other services for those in need. The money in the baskets here goes to sustaining the mission of this congregation. The money in the cups goes to Sojourner Truth House. For those not with us in person today, there is an online link for both one-time and regular donations. May I have 4 volunteers? Please come forward to carry the baskets and cups. For your prayers, your presence, your service and your gifts, we are truly grateful. Another way that we walk together as a congregation and a community is by joining together for fun and fellowship. And as such, we have a couple of announcements. We will be handing out free snow cones on July 4th here at church during the 4th of July parade in Hobart. Please see Michelle. There she is. If you're interested in joining in on the fun, volunteers must be here prior to 8:30 a.m. due to parking considerations. If you think you are going to volunteer or just come to watch the parade, please let Michelle know so that we know how many parking spots to block off. And our other announcement is today is June 29th. Tomorrow is June 30th, which means it is the end of our church fiscal year. July 1st is the new year. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy fiscal New Year. It's going to be 2026, FY 2026. And so, those of us who have pledges to our church and still owe some money for those pledges, we have one day, today or tomorrow, to finalize our pledges. So I urge all of us to do the best that we can to complete our pledges for this fiscal year, because then on Tuesday starts a new fiscal year and we'll be asking you for money again. So please do the best that you can to finalize your pledge for FY25. Now please rise in body or spirit to join in singing hymn number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song.
Beloveds, may love guide you on your journey forward, joy meet you at every turn, and hope be your daily practice. May gratitude companion you, compassion embolden you, and open-hearted courage be your unending choice. May peace challenge you, dear ones, generosity empower you, and may you know in every day that you are enough just exactly as you are, and you are not alone. Blessed be, Ashe, farewell.
I invite you now to join me in reciting the words on the screen to accompany our extinguishing of the chalice. May we continue to carry in our hearts the light of community, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment until we are together again. Please join us in the parish hall for refreshments and fellowship. Amen. What's that?